I was standing in line at Home Depot, holding a replacement filter for our pool pump, when my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't recognize. Thought you should know what your wife does on Tuesday afternoons. Below the message was a photo. Crystal clear. Time stamped 2 hours earlier. My wife Emily, her head thrown back in obvious pleasure, straddling someone in the front seat of her white Lexus SUV, the one I'd surprised her with last Christmas. The parking lot in the background was unmistakable. The public library on Oakmont Street, 3 miles from our house in Scottsdale. My hands went numb. The filter clattered to the floor. The cashier said something I didn't hear. Someone behind me muttered about the holdup. I bent down mechanically, picked up the filter, and somehow managed to pay. The walk to my truck happened in a fog, my brain trying to process what I'd just seen while my body moved on autopilot. 12 years of marriage. 2 kids, Brandon, 10, and little Alyssa, 7. A 4-bedroom house in a gated community. Family vacations to Disney World. Date nights every Friday. Or so I thought. I sat in my truck and looked at the photo again, zooming in despite knowing I'd regret it. The man's face wasn't visible, but I could see his hands on her hips. Emily's wedding ring caught the afternoon sunlight streaming through the windshield. Tuesday afternoons. My mind raced backward through the calendar. For the past 4 months, Emily had started volunteering at the library every Tuesday from 1 to 4. She'd been so enthusiastic about it, talking about organizing the children's section, helping with literacy programs. I'd been proud of her for giving back to the community. What an idiot I'd been. Another text came through. Every Tuesday for months. Parking lot. Sometimes his car. Usually hers. You deserve better than this. I typed back with shaking fingers. Who is this? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No response came. I started my truck and drove, not toward home, but aimlessly through our neighborhood, past the park where I'd taught Brandon to ride a bike, past the elementary school where Emily and I had volunteered for the fall festival just 3 weeks ago. We'd worked the dunking booth together, laughing as parents tried to sink Principal Matthews. She'd kissed my cheek and called me her favorite teammate. How much of my life had been a performance? The dashboard clock read 3:47 p.m. Emily would be home soon, probably already on her way back from her volunteering. She'd walk in with that bright smile, ask about my day, start dinner like nothing had happened. Like she hadn't just been with another man in broad daylight. My phone rang. Emily's smiling face filled the screen. A photo from our anniversary dinner last month at that expensive steakhouse downtown. I'd spent $200 on that meal. She'd worn the emerald dress I loved and held my hand across the table. I let it go to voicemail. Then I did something that surprised me. Instead of falling apart, instead of screaming or crying or punching my steering wheel, I felt something else entirely. A cold, clarifying rage that sharpened everything into focus. I pulled into a strip mall parking lot and opened my laptop. I always kept it in my truck for work. As a commercial real estate developer, I'd learned to be methodical, to gather information before making decisions. This situation would be no different. First, I forwarded the anonymous text to my personal email, then took screenshots of everything. I created a new folder on my cloud storage and labeled it with an innocuous name, Project Files 2024. Next, I opened our cell phone account. We were on a family plan, and as the account holder, I could see all the activity. I pulled up Emily's call and text logs for the past 6 months and started scrolling. There. A number that appeared with suspicious regularity, especially on Tuesdays. Calls that lasted 30-40 minutes. Texts sent late at night when I was already asleep. The pattern was obvious once I knew to look for it. I ran the number through a reverse lookup service. The name that came back made my stomach drop. Tyler Grant. I knew that name. He was the new head librarian, hired about 6 months ago. Emily had mentioned him exactly once, casually, saying the library had brought in someone young to modernize their programs. Young. The word echoed in my head. I was 42. Emily was 39. How young was this Tyler? A quick search of the library's website gave me my answer. His bio page showed a guy who couldn't have been more than 30, with the kind of casual good looks that probably made suburban housewives linger at the checkout desk. His bio mentioned a master's degree in library science, a passion for community engagement, and a recent move from Portland. Portland. That explained the Tuesday afternoon trysts in parking lots. He probably lived in some cramped apartment, couldn't take her there without raising questions. So they used her car instead, hiding in plain sight among the minivans and sedans of library patrons. My phone buzzed again. Emily calling for the second time. I stared at her picture, at that lying smile, and made a decision. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. Not until I had everything lined up perfectly. Because Emily had no idea who she was dealing with. In business, I'd built a reputation for patience, for gathering every piece of information before striking. I'd turned failing properties into gold mines by understanding every angle, every leverage point, every weakness in my opponent's position. My wife had just become my opponent, and I was going to destroy her. The florist's shop sat in a strip mall between a dry cleaner and a tax preparation office that wouldn't see real business for another 3 months. I'd driven past it 1,000 times without noticing the name. Petals and stems. Generic. Forgettable. I pulled into a parking spot near the entrance. The plan had been simple. Order flowers for our anniversary next week, maybe salvage some appearance of normalcy while I finished gathering evidence. 12 years. Crystal, traditionally. Though I doubted Hallmark made cards that said, "Happy anniversary to my cheating wife." The bell chimed as I entered. The shop smelled like roses and something sweeter I couldn't identify. A woman in her 50s looked up from behind the counter, her reading glasses hanging from a beaded chain. "Good afternoon. How can I help you?" "I need to order an arrangement for delivery next Tuesday." "Of course." She pulled out an order form. "Anniversary? Birthday?" "Anniversary. How lovely. What kind of flowers were you thinking?" I hadn't thought that far. "Roses. A dozen red roses." "Classic choice." She smiled and began writing. "And the delivery address?" I rattled off our home address on Maple Ridge Court. She paused, pen hovering over the paper. Her expression shifted, something between confusion and recognition. "Oh, I'm sorry, I should have recognized the name right away." She glanced at her computer screen. "Same address as usual." The words hit me like cold water. "What?" "For the delivery." "Same address?" She was looking at me now with a slightly puzzled expression, as if I should know what she meant. "I've never ordered from here before." Her face went pale. The pen slipped from her fingers and clattered onto the counter. Oh no. I'm so sorry, I thought." She trailed off, her hand moving to her mouth. My pulse hammered in my ears. "You thought what?" "I must have you confused with someone else. I apologize." "No." I kept my voice level, though my hands had begun to shake. "You recognized my name. You said, 'Same address as usual.'" "What address?" She looked like she wanted to sink through the floor. "Sir, I really think there's been a misunderstanding. Show me." "I can't share customer information. Show me the orders under my name, now." The command in my voice must have overridden her training. Or maybe she saw something in my face that told her this wasn't a conversation she'd win. Her fingers trembled as she typed on her keyboard. "There must be some mistake in our system. Perhaps someone with the same name? Turn the screen." She did. The spreadsheet showed a list of orders. All under my name. All charged to a credit card I didn't recognize. The delivery address made my vision blur at the edges. 342 Oakmont Street, Unit 7B. An apartment. Not our house. How many? My voice sounded distant, like it belonged to someone else. Sir, how many orders? She scrolled, kept scrolling. 16 over the past 4 months. Every week, sometimes twice a week. Always the same, a mixed bouquet, premium selection. The customer specifically requested we include a card each time signed, Love Always. 16 bouquets. To an apartment I'd never heard of. In my name. The dates aligned perfectly with Emily's Tuesday volunteering. Every single Tuesday for 4 months, and several Fridays too. Who placed the orders? They were called in. A woman. She said she was placing them on your behalf, that you wanted to surprise someone special but were too busy with work to call yourself. A woman. Not Tyler Grant ordering flowers for my wife. Emily ordering flowers for herself. From me. To the apartment where she was screwing him. The audacity of it carved through me like a blade. She'd been sending herself flowers in my name, probably showing them off to him. Look what my husband sent. Look how he tries to keep me happy. All while she was spreading her legs for a librarian in a parking lot. I need the credit card number used for these orders. The florist shook her head. I can only show you the last 4 digits. It ends in 7832. I pulled out my wallet, flipped through my cards. None matched. Can you tell me when the card was opened? She clicked through screens. The first order was placed on June 15th. The card was authorized without any issues. 4 months ago. Right when the affair started, according to the phone records. Emily had opened a credit card in my name. Used it to buy flowers for herself. Delivered to what had to be Tyler's apartment. The florist was still talking, her words tumbling out in an anxious stream. I'm so sorry, sir. The woman who called always seemed so pleasant. She knew all your information, your full name. She said she was your assistant handling personal errands. We had no reason to think. I need copies of all these orders, every receipt, every delivery confirmation. I'll need to check with my manager. I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app, then my credit monitoring service. While you do that, I'm calling the police to report identity theft and credit card fraud. You can explain to them why your business processed 16 fraudulent transactions without verifying the cardholder's identity. That got her moving. Please, let me just print everything. There's no need to involve the police. We were just trying to provide good customer service. Print it, all of it, now. She scrambled to comply. The printer whirred to life, spitting out page after page. Order forms, delivery confirmations, card authorization records. I took photos of her computer screen with my phone while she printed, making sure I captured every detail. The dates, the amounts, the delivery address. 342 Oakmont Street, Unit 7B. I pulled up a map on my phone. The address was in a newer apartment complex on the east side of town, about 15 minutes from the library. Close enough for a quick afternoon visit. Far enough from our neighborhood that she'd never worry about being seen. The florist handed me a manila envelope stuffed with papers. Her hands were still shaking. Is there anything else I can help you with? The anniversary arrangement I came in to order. Cancel it. I walked out without waiting for a response. In my truck, I sat with the envelope in my lap and pulled up the credit monitoring app on my phone. It took 3 minutes to find the fraudulent account. Capital Bank. Opened June 12th in my name. Current balance, $2,847. Not just flowers, then. She'd been using it for other things, too. I screenshotted everything. Added it to the growing folder of evidence on my phone, backed up to 3 separate cloud services. Then I opened the Maps app and entered the Oakmont Street address. Satellite view showed a 3-story apartment building with exterior staircases. Unit 7B would be second floor, east side. I could be there in 20 minutes. My finger hovered over the navigation button. Every instinct screamed at me to drive there now, to kick down the door, to catch them together and end this with my hands around his throat. But that wasn't the play. That was emotion. That was reaction. I'd spent 12 years building a career on staying 3 moves ahead, on gathering every piece of information before making a decision, on finding the leverage points and exploiting them with surgical precision. This wasn't different. It couldn't be different. I opened my notes app and added to my growing list: credit card fraud, $2,847, criminal charges possible, identity theft, opened account in my name without authorization, 16 flower deliveries to apartment, all charged fraudulently, apartment address, 342 Oakmont Street, Unit 7B, likely Tyler Grant's residence, verify. My phone buzzed. Another text from the anonymous number. Did you find something interesting at the flower shop? I stared at the message. Whoever this was, they were watching, following my movements, guiding me toward each new revelation. I typed back, "Who are you?" The response came immediately. "Someone who thinks you deserve to know the truth." Why? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Because I was in your position once, and nobody told me until it was too late. I read the message twice. A scorned spouse? A friend of Tyler's ex? Someone Emily had wronged before? What else should I know? Check the apartment lease. You might recognize another name. Then nothing. No more dots. No more messages. I sat there as the afternoon sun beat down through the windshield, the envelope of flower receipts beside me, a fraudulent credit card in my name bleeding money to fund my wife's affair, and an anonymous messenger dropping breadcrumbs toward some larger truth I hadn't yet uncovered. The apartment lease. Another name. I pulled up a property record search on my phone and entered the Oakmont Street address. The results loaded. And there it was. Unit 7B, leased to Tyler Grant and Emily Ashford. My wife's maiden name. She wasn't just visiting his apartment, she was living there. Part-time, at least. Her name on the lease. Her name on the door. How long had she been planning this? The florist, a middle-aged woman with reading glasses on a beaded chain, smiled at me like we were old friends. Same address as usual, she repeated. The apartment on Camelback? I kept my expression neutral. Professional? The same face I used when negotiating deals where showing emotion meant losing leverage. Actually, I need to verify the address you have on file. Can you pull up the account? She clicked through her computer, still smiling. Of course. Let me see. Yes, here we are. 16 deliveries over the past 4 months. Always the same card message. Thinking of you always, David. She looked up. That's so romantic. Your wife must love getting these. David. My name. The apartment number? I asked. Unit 304, 2847 East Camelback Road. I pulled out my phone and pretended to check something. And the payment method? Credit card ending in 4739. It's saved in the system for recurring orders. She set it up so a bouquet goes out every Tuesday afternoon. The fraudulent card. Emily had automated her own deception, programmed it like a recurring calendar event. Flowers delivered to the love nest every Tuesday while she was supposedly volunteering, while she was actually there with him. Can I see the card message she used? The florist's smile finally wavered. She? I thought you… Please. She turned the monitor toward me. The message template was still there in the system. Thinking of you always, David. Emily had sent herself flowers, in my name, to the apartment she shared with Tyler Grant, 16 times. I thought about the credit card statement I'd found. 2,147. That wasn't just flowers. That was 4 months of automated romance, playing house, building a parallel life where I was reduced to a forged signature on greeting cards. Is something wrong? The florist asked. No, everything's fine. I smiled. It felt like broken glass in my face. I'd like to place a new order, actually. Same address. But I'll write the card message myself. She brightened. Of course. What would you like to send? Your largest sympathy arrangement. The one you'd send to a funeral. Her smile died completely. What? White lilies, chrysanthemums, the works. I want it delivered tomorrow. Sir, I don't think... I pulled out my wallet, extracted $300 bills and placed them on the counter. Tomorrow morning, early. And here's the card message. I wrote on the order form she'd nervously slid toward me. For everything that died today. I sat in my truck outside the flower shop for 20 minutes, staring at my phone. The anonymous texter had been quiet since the apartment revelation. No new messages, no new breadcrumbs. But they'd known about the flowers. They'd known I'd find the credit card statement. They'd known exactly how this would unfold. Who the hell were they? I opened my text thread with the unknown number and typed, "Who else is on the lease?" The response came within seconds. Check for yourself. Public records. But you're looking for the wrong thing. What should I be looking for? Not who, when. Check the lease date. I pulled up the property records again on my phone. The apartment lease for Unit 304, 2847 East Camelback Road. Emily's maiden name, Emily Patterson, listed as co-tenant with Tyler Grant. Lease start date, September 1st. 8 months ago. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. 8 months. She'd been planning this since last fall, since before Brandon's birthday, since before I'd given her the Lexus for Christmas, since before our anniversary dinner at that steakhouse downtown, where she'd looked at me across the table and said she'd never been happier. 8 months of premeditation. The affair wasn't 4 months old. The apartment was 8 months old, which meant she'd been seeing him longer than that. Long enough to decide they needed a place together. Long enough to forge my identity and open a credit card. Long enough to build an entire secondary existence. My phone buzzed again. Now check the library employment records. Public information for government employees. I navigated to the Scottsdale Public Library System's website. Found the staff directory. Tyler Grant, head librarian, Oakmont Street branch. Employment start date, September 15th. He'd moved here from Portland for a job that started 2 weeks after they signed the lease together. Emily had helped him get the job, or known about it. Or the pieces assembled themselves with brutal clarity. She'd met him somehow, somewhere, before he moved here. Long distance at first, maybe. Then she'd helped him relocate, found him a job, found them an apartment, brought him to Scottsdale and installed him in her Tuesday afternoons like a kept man in a dollhouse. How long had she known him before the apartment? How many trips had she taken in the past year? How many conferences, how many visits to her sister in Seattle? How many girls' weekends that were actually rendezvous with Tyler Grant? I thought about last November. She'd gone to Portland for 5 days. A college friend's birthday, she'd said. I'd stayed home with the kids, ordered pizza, helped Alyssa with her science project. Portland, where Tyler had lived. My phone buzzed a third time. Her sister doesn't live in Seattle. Never did. Check Facebook. I found Emily's sister Rachel on Facebook within 30 seconds. Her profile was public. Current city, Phoenix, Arizona. Worked at a dental office on Shea Boulevard. Married with 3 kids. Every photo geotagged to locations within 20 miles of here. She'd never lived in Seattle. Every trip Emily had taken in the past 2 years, every long weekend, every supposed visit to her sister, had been a lie. She'd been building this, planning it, laying groundwork while I paid the mortgage and raised our children and believed her when she kissed me goodbye at the airport. The anonymous texter sent one more message. You're wondering how I know all this? Wrong question. You should be wondering why I'm telling you. I typed back, "Why?" Because she did the same thing to me. Different city, different name, same playbook. She's done this before. My blood turned to ice water. What do you mean before? Emily Patterson isn't her real maiden name. It's her first husband's name. She was married before you, divorced him 7 years ago, took him for everything. Your husband number 2. I sat there in the Home Depot parking lot. I'd driven there without thinking, muscle memory from this morning, and felt reality shift again. Emily had been married before. She'd told me I was her first, her only. We'd laughed about it on our 3rd date, how we'd both waited, how we'd found each other at the right time. Another lie. First husband's name? James Patterson. Attorney in Denver. She cleaned him out in the divorce. Took the house, the savings, half his retirement. Then moved to Scottsdale and became Emily Patterson, single woman with a romantic past. How do you know this? Because I helped James figure it out. After. When it was too late. I'm a private investigator. He hired me for the divorce, but we didn't find the evidence in time. She'd hidden everything too well. Learned from that mistake, apparently. This time she's leaving a trail. A private investigator. Someone who'd watched Emily destroy a man before me. Someone who'd seen her do this once and was now watching her do it again. Why not just tell me everything at once? Because you wouldn't have believed me. You needed to find it yourself. You needed to see her build the lie in real time. Now you believe. Now you'll act. What do you want? I want you to destroy her, completely. The way she destroyed James. The way she's planning to destroy you. I want you to document everything, build an airtight case, and take her apart in court. I want her to lose everything this time. And then? And then I want you to help me find husband number 3, because she's already looking. I stared at those words until they blurred. Husband number 3. She was already looking for the next one. While living with Tyler, while married to me. She was a shark, always moving, always hunting, already planning the next kill before finishing the current one. I thought about Brandon and Alyssa, about what this would do to them, about how Emily would try to take them from me, use them as leverage, bleed me dry through child support and alimony while she moved on to her next victim. Not this time. I texted back, I'm in. Tell me everything. The florist's question hung in the air between us. Same address as usual? I kept my expression neutral. Professional. The same face I wore when a contractor tried to slip defective materials past inspection. Actually, I said, I'm not sure which address you have on file. Can you check for me? The woman, her name tag read Jennifer, turned to her computer screen. Her fingers clicked across the keyboard. Let's see. Ashford, David. Yes, here we are. We have 2847 Maple Grove, Unit 12. Not my house. The apartment. How many orders have gone to that address? I asked. Jennifer scrolled through her screen. Looks like 16 deliveries over the past 8 months. Always the same arrangement. Our premium romance package. Roses, lilies, baby's breath. Very nice choice. And the card message? Always the same. Thinking of you. Love, David. She smiled. Your wife must feel very appreciated. I pulled out my phone and opened the photo the investigator had sent. The one of Emily at the apartment building. I zoomed in on the entrance, noting the brass numbers above the door. 2847 Maple Grove. Can I get a printout of all those orders? I asked. Dates, amounts, everything. Jennifer's smile faltered slightly. Is there a problem with the billing? Just need it for my records? She printed the invoice history. I scanned the dates while standing at the counter. The first delivery was 9 months ago, a week after Emily co-signed the lease. Every other Friday after that. like clockwork. The total matched what I'd found on the credit card statement. $2,847. Emily had been sending herself flowers. In my name. To the apartment she shared with Tyler. I wondered if he was there when they arrived. If he watched her accept them, read the cards, arranged them in a vase. If they laughed about it together. The rage in my chest was ice cold now. Crystalline. Sharp enough to cut. I'd like to place an order, I said. Jennifer brightened. Of course. The premium romance package? No, I want something different this time. I looked at the display cooler along the wall. White lilies. Just white lilies. Large arrangement. White lilies are often used for… She stopped herself. For funerals, I finished. I know. She shifted uncomfortably. What would you like the card to say? I thought about it, about all the lies, all the flowers Emily had sent herself, playing the role of beloved wife while she built her secret life. Write this. For everything that's dead. You know what I mean. Jennifer's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Sir, and send them to my home address, not Maple Grove. I gave her my actual address, the house Emily and I shared with our children. Deliver them tomorrow, late afternoon. I wanted Emily to receive them at home. Wanted her to open that card in our kitchen, surrounded by all the domestic trappings of the life she was destroying. I paid in cash and left. In my truck, I sat with Jennifer's printout spread across the steering wheel. 16 deliveries. Each one a performance. Each one another thread in the web of lies Emily had woven around our marriage. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. Did you find what you were looking for? The investigator, always watching, always one step ahead. I typed back, "Who are you?" The response came quickly. Someone who knows what it's like to be where you are. Patterson hired you after the divorce? No, during. I got him everything he needed. It wasn't enough. The judge was sympathetic to Emily. She walked away with half his assets and a generous settlement. Why help me? Because she's doing it again. Same pattern, same playbook, and this time I want to see her lose. I stared at the screen. The investigator's motivation was becoming clearer. This wasn't just about justice. It was personal. What's your name? Doesn't matter. What matters is stopping her before she destroys another family. I need more than anonymous texts. I need to meet you. A long pause. Then, not yet. You're not ready. Ready for what? To hear everything. You're still processing. Still in shock. When you're ready to act, really act, I'll be there. I'm acting now. No, you're investigating, gathering evidence. That's smart. But there's more you need to know about your wife. Things that will change how you see everything. My hands tightened on the phone. Tell me. Tomorrow, after she gets the flowers, after you see her reaction, then we'll talk. The conversation ended. I sat in the parking lot of the flower shop, surrounded by the ordinary sounds of suburban life. Cars pulling in and out, a mother with a stroller, a teenager on a skateboard. Everything normal, everything fine. Except nothing was fine. I drove to the library on Oakmont Street. Not to confront Tyler, not yet, but to see the place where Emily spent her Tuesday afternoons, where she volunteered, according to her story. The building was modern, all glass and steel. I parked across the street and watched. At 4:15, Tyler emerged from the main entrance. He was younger than I'd expected from his LinkedIn photo. Maybe 28, not 30. Casual clothes, jeans and a button-down shirt. He walked to a Honda Civic in the employee lot. I followed him. Not close enough to be obvious. Just close enough to track his route. He drove east, away from the library, into a neighborhood of modest apartment complexes and strip malls. He pulled into the parking lot of a gym, Planet Fitness. He went inside carrying a duffel bag. I waited. 45 minutes later, he emerged, hair wet from the shower. He drove to a Chipotle, went through the drive-thru, then headed back toward downtown. Not toward Maple Grove. Toward a different apartment complex on the north side. Smaller. Older. He parked in front of Building C and went inside with his takeout bag. I sat in my truck 3 spaces down and pulled up the lease information the investigator had sent. The Maple Grove apartment was in Emily's name, her maiden name, with Tyler as co-signer. But Tyler lived somewhere else. The apartment on Maple Grove wasn't his home. It was their meeting place, their private space, separate from both of their real lives. Emily had created an entire alternate existence, an apartment, a lover, a routine, and she'd used my money, my credit card, my name, to furnish it with romantic gestures. The flowers weren't for Tyler to see. They were for her. Tokens of the fantasy life she'd built. Proof that she could have everything. The stable marriage, the nice house, the children, and the excitement of an affair. All of it simultaneously. I took photos of Tyler's actual apartment building. Documented his license plate, his car, his routine. Then I drove home. Emily was in the kitchen when I arrived, chopping vegetables for dinner. She smiled when I walked in. "Hey, honey, how was your day?" "Fine," I said. "Productive." "Good." She turned back to the cutting board. "Brandon has soccer practice tomorrow and Alyssa needs new shoes. Can you pick her up from school?" "Sure." I watched her hands move. Efficient. Practiced. The same hands that had signed a lease under a false name. That had ordered flowers with my credit card. That had touched Tyler Grant in the back of her Lexus. "Oh," I said, as if just remembering. "I ordered flowers for our anniversary. They'll be delivered tomorrow." Emily's knife paused for just a fraction of a second, then continued. "That's sweet. You didn't have to do that." "I wanted to." She glanced at me over her shoulder. Something flickered in her eyes. Uncertainty? Suspicion? "What kind did you get?" she asked. "You'll see tomorrow." I left her in the kitchen and went upstairs to my office. Locked the door. Spread out everything I'd gathered. The credit card statements, the lease agreement, the flower shop printout, the photos of Tyler's apartment. My phone buzzed one more time. Unknown number. Tomorrow afternoon. After the delivery. I'll send you an address. Come alone. I didn't respond. Just sat in my office, surrounded by evidence of my wife's betrayal, and waited for tomorrow. For the white lilies. For Emily's reaction. For whatever the investigator was going to tell me that would change everything. The ice in my chest grew colder. The white lilies arrived at our house at 2:17 p.m. on Thursday. I know the exact time because I was sitting in my truck 3 houses down, watching through binoculars as the delivery van pulled into our driveway. Emily's Lexus was already there. She'd been home since noon, supposedly fighting off a migraine. The same excuse she'd used last Tuesday when Tyler had the afternoon off. The delivery driver rang the doorbell. Waited. Rang again. Emily opened the door in her yoga pants and one of my old college t-shirts, the outfit she wore when she wanted to look casual and domestic. Her hair was pulled back in a ponytail. No makeup. The performance of a woman who'd been resting in bed all day. She took the arrangement from the driver, glanced at the card, and her face went completely blank. Not confused. Not pleased. Blank. She stood there for maybe 10 seconds, holding that vase of funeral flowers, staring at the card. Then she looked up and down the street, her head moving in slow, deliberate sweeps. Looking for cameras, looking for witnesses, looking for me. I'd parked behind the Johnson's landscaping truck. She couldn't see me. She went back inside and closed the door. My phone buzzed 30 seconds later. A text from Emily. Did you send me flowers? I waited 5 minutes before responding, long enough to seem like I was in a meeting. No, why? The typing indicator appeared and disappeared 3 times before her response came through. Someone sent me lilies. No name on the card, just says, for the memories. Weird. Secret admirer? Not funny, David. Sorry, probably a delivery mistake. Check the card again. Another long pause. It has my name on it. Maybe call the florist? Yeah, I will. She didn't call the florist. I know because I'd already contacted Riverside Florals and told them to expect an inquiry and to tell her exactly what I'd instructed. The order was placed online, paid with a prepaid credit card, delivery instructions specified, no sender information. Untraceable, anonymous, deliberate. I wanted her scared. I wanted her wondering. My phone rang at 4:03 p.m. Not Emily, the private investigator. She made 4 calls in the last hour, the voice said without preamble. First to the florist like you predicted, then to Tyler at the library. That conversation lasted 7 minutes, then to a number registered to a law office in Tempe, then back to Tyler. A lawyer already? Divorce attorney, Melissa Brennan. Same one she used against James Patterson in Denver. I felt something cold settle in my chest. She's already planning her exit. She's been planning it for months. The flowers just accelerated her timeline. A pause. You need to move faster than she does. I'm meeting with my attorney tomorrow morning. Good. But there's something else you need to know first. The investigator's voice changed, became harder. I told you Emily follows a pattern. I told you she cleaned out her first husband. What I didn't tell you is how she did it. I waited. James Patterson was a commercial real estate developer in Denver. Successful. Made good money. Emily was his second wife. He'd been divorced once before, paid his first wife a fair settlement, moved on. Met Emily at a charity fundraiser. She was working as an event coordinator. 26 years old, beautiful, charming. He was 41. They got married 8 months later. The similarities were making my skin crawl. 3 years into the marriage, James started noticing irregularities. Credit cards he didn't open, charges he didn't recognize. By the time he started investigating, Emily had opened 11 lines of credit in his name, racked up $340,000 in debt. She had a separate apartment, a boyfriend, and she'd been systematically draining their joint accounts into offshore holdings he couldn't touch. How did she get away with it? She didn't. Not completely. James fought back hard, hired forensic accountants, private investigators, the whole arsenal, proved the fraud, proved the affair, proved she'd been planning to disappear with the money. The divorce took 2 years and cost him another $200,000 in legal fees, but he got most of his assets back. Emily walked away with almost nothing. So she learned from her mistakes. Exactly. She got smarter, more patient. With you, she's been building her exit strategy for at least 8 months, probably longer. The apartment, the credit card fraud, Tyler's relocation, all of it carefully structured. And this time, she's not planning to get caught before she's ready to leave. The lawyer she called, Melissa Brennan. She knows Emily's history. She helped Emily try to hide assets during the Denver divorce. She's not ethical, David. She's a weapon. I watched our house through the binoculars. The curtains were drawn in the living room. Emily's Lexus hadn't moved. What happened to James Patterson? Silence on the line. Long enough that I thought the call had dropped. He killed himself, the investigator finally said. 18 months after the divorce was finalized, drove his car into a reservoir outside Denver. My hands tightened on the phone. The divorce destroyed him financially, but that wasn't what broke him. It was the humiliation. The knowledge that he'd been played for years. That the woman he loved, the woman he'd trusted with everything, had been systematically dismantling his life while smiling at him across the breakfast table. He couldn't recover from that. Why are you telling me this? Because Emily needs to pay for what she's done, both times. And because James Patterson was my brother. The world seemed to stop. Your brother. I'm Catherine Patterson. I hired the investigators who exposed Emily during the Denver divorce. I watched her nearly destroy my brother, then watched her walk away and reinvent herself. I've been tracking her for 6 years, waiting for her to make another move. When she married you, I knew it was only a matter of time. You've been watching us for 6 years? Watching her. You were just collateral damage until recently. But when I saw her setting up the same pattern, the secret apartment, the boyfriend, the financial fraud, I knew I had to intervene. I couldn't let her do to another man what she did to James. I tried to process this. The photo you sent me, you took that yourself? I have a team. We've been documenting everything for months. The affair, the apartment, the credit card statements, Tyler's background, all of it. I have enough evidence to bury her in court, David. But I need you to be smart about this. Smarter than James was. What do you mean? James confronted Emily the moment he found out about the affair. He was emotional, angry, and she used that against him. She destroyed evidence, moved money, and by the time they got to court, half of what he needed to prove fraud was gone. You can't make that mistake. I'm not planning to confront her yet. Good. Because tomorrow morning, Emily is meeting with Melissa Brennan at 9 a.m. They're going to strategize. And tomorrow afternoon, she's meeting Tyler at the apartment at 1 p.m. I'm guessing she's going to tell him they need to accelerate their plans. How do you know her schedule? I have access to her calendar, her email, her text messages, everything. Catherine's voice was cold, precise. I've been preparing for this for a long time, David. Emily Patterson is going to lose everything, and she's going to know exactly who took it from her. What do you need from me? Meet with your attorney tomorrow. File for divorce, but don't serve her yet. We need to freeze the assets first, lock down the accounts, and get restraining orders on anything she might try to move. I'll send you a complete financial breakdown tonight. Every account, every card, every asset she's hidden. Your attorney will know what to do with it. And then? Then we let Emily make her next move. She thinks she's in control. She thinks she's still playing you. We let her believe that for just a little bit longer. I looked at our house again. The home I'd bought. The life I'd built. The woman I'd trusted. When does she find out the truth? Catherine's laugh was sharp and bitter. When it's too late for her to do anything about it. I sat in my truck outside the law offices of Grant & Associates, no relation to Tyler, I'd checked, with Catherine's flash drive burning a hole in my jacket pocket. The building was downtown, glass and steel, the kind of place that charged $700 an hour and earned every penny. My phone buzzed. Catherine. Emily just left her house, heading toward Tyler's apartment. She has 2 suitcases. I stared at the message. 2 suitcases. Not running yet, but preparing to. When did she pack them? This morning. After you left for work, she thinks you're at a job site in Tempe. Of course she did. I'd told her that at breakfast, watching her smile and nod while our kids ate cereal. She'd kissed me goodbye. Her lips had tasted like coffee and lies. Let me know if she moves them to the car. Will do. Your attorney's waiting. I pocketed the phone and headed inside. Robert Langford's office occupied the entire 20th floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Scottsdale, the desert sprawling toward distant mountains. He stood when I entered. Tall, silver-haired, expensive suit that probably cost more than most people's monthly mortgage. Mr. Ashford, his handshake was firm. Please, sit. I handed him the flash drive. Everything's on here. Financial records, photographs, timeline documentation, communications with her divorce attorney. He plugged it into his laptop, his expression neutral as he clicked through files. 5 minutes passed. Then 10. His face never changed, but I saw his jaw tighten when he reached the photographs of Emily and Tyler. "How long has this been happening?" he asked. "4 months that I can confirm. But the apartment lease started 8 months ago, and there's a prior marriage I knew nothing about." His eyebrows lifted slightly. "Prior marriage?" "Denver, 6 years ago. James Patterson. Real estate developer like me. She defrauded him, divorced him. He killed himself 18 months later." Langford sat back. "And you discovered this how?" "The woman who sent me the initial evidence is his sister. She's been tracking Emily for 6 years. Is she looking for revenge?" "She's looking for justice. There's a difference." He studied me for a long moment. "What do you want from this divorce, Mr. Ashford?" "Everything. Full custody of my children, the house, my business protected. Every asset she tried to hide recovered. And I want her prosecuted for fraud." "The credit card?" "For starters. But I want a full forensic audit. I need to know every dollar she's stolen, every account she's opened, every lie she's told." Langford nodded slowly. "That's going to be expensive." "I don't care what it costs." "And you understand that criminal prosecution is separate from divorce proceedings? The district attorney decides whether to file charges, not us." "I understand, but I want everything documented and ready for them." He pulled up a calendar. "First things first, we need to freeze all joint accounts immediately. File for divorce before she does. I assume she's planning to?" "She contacted her attorney yesterday, Melissa Brennan, out of Denver." His expression shifted, something like recognition. "Brennan relocated here 2 years ago. She's good, aggressive, specializes in high-asset divorces. Emily used her in Denver. Then she's already strategizing." He made a note. "We'll file this afternoon. Arizona is a community property state, which means marital assets get split 50-50 unless we can prove fraud or dissipation of assets. The credit card helps. The apartment lease helps more. But we need to move fast." "What about the kids?" "Arizona favors joint custody, but given the circumstances, the affair, the financial fraud, the deception, we have a strong case for primary physical custody." "Does she work?" "Volunteer work, or what she claimed was volunteer work." "So you're the primary breadwinner. You've been providing the stable home environment. That works in our favor." He clicked through more files. "This documentation is remarkably thorough. Your investigator is very good. She's motivated. I'll need to meet with her, get her statement, verify her evidence is admissible. I'll arrange it." My phone buzzed. Catherine again. "Suitcases are in the Lexus. She's at Tyler's apartment now, staying inside." I showed Langford the message. He frowned. "She's preparing to leave. Probably waiting for you to be served before she runs." "Can we stop her?" "Not legally, not yet. But once we file, we can request a temporary restraining order preventing her from removing assets or relocating the children out of state. It won't stop her from leaving personally, but it'll trap her if she tries to take anything significant." "Do it." He pulled up a document template. "I need you to walk me through your finances. Every account, every property, every investment. Don't leave anything out." For the next hour, I laid out 12 years of financial history. The house, paid off last year, worth $800,000. My business, 3 active projects, total value around $4 million. Retirement accounts, investment portfolios, the kids' college funds, our joint checking and savings, the Lexus I'd bought Emily for Christmas, still in her name. Langford took notes, asked questions, built a financial map of my life. "What about her family?" he asked. "Parents, siblings, anyone who might support her?" She told me her parents died in a car accident when she was 22, sister in Seattle. But according to Catherine, the sister doesn't exist. I don't know if the parent's story is true. So she's potentially a complete fabrication. That's what I'm trying to figure out. He pulled up a search database, typed in Emily's name. Emily Patterson, maiden name unknown, previously married in Denver 6 years ago. The results populated slowly. Marriage license from Denver. Divorce decree. Before that, nothing. No birth certificate, no school records, no employment history. That's unusual, Langford said quietly. What does it mean? It means Emily Patterson might not be her real name either. Patterson was her first husband's name. Before that, he shook his head. We'll need to dig deeper. I have a researcher who specializes in this kind of background investigation. How long? Few days, maybe a week. But Mr. Ashford, you need to prepare yourself for the possibility that your wife is someone other than who she claimed to be. I'd already accepted that. The woman I married didn't exist. She never had. What about the apartment? I asked. Can we use that? Absolutely. She co-signed a lease using her previous married name, establishing a residence with her lover 8 months ago. That's evidence of premeditation. She wasn't just having an affair, she was planning an exit strategy. And the job she got him at the library? Langford's eyes sharpened. Explain. Tyler Grant moved here from Portland 9 months ago, got hired as head librarian shortly after. Emily's been volunteering at that library for 2 years. I don't think his hiring was coincidental. You think she arranged it? I think she recruited him. Found someone young, ambitious, willing to relocate, got him the job, set him up in an apartment, and started the affair. That's a serious allegation. Can you prove it? Not yet. But Catherine might be able to. He made another note. If we can establish that level of planning, it strengthens our case significantly. It shows this wasn't a mistake or a moment of weakness. It was a calculated scheme. My phone buzzed again. Emily's leaving Tyler's apartment, alone, heading back toward your neighborhood. She's coming home, I said. Langford glanced at his watch. Kids get out of school soon? 3:30, she always picks them up. So she's maintaining appearances, playing the devoted mother. He closed his laptop. Mr. Ashford, I'm going to file the divorce petition within the hour. You'll be served first. That's standard procedure. Then she'll be served, probably tomorrow morning. Once that happens, everything changes. She'll know you know. Are you prepared for that? Yes. Where will you be tonight? Home, with my kids. And her? I don't know. I don't care. He stood, extended his hand again. I'll call you once the filing is complete. In the meantime, don't confront her. Don't discuss this with anyone except me or your investigator. Don't make any large purchases or transfers. Just maintain your normal routine. Normal, I repeated. The word felt foreign. I know it's difficult, but the calmer you appear, the stronger our position. I left his office and sat in my truck, watching the city shimmer in the afternoon heat. My phone showed 2:47 p.m. In 43 minutes, Emily would pick up Brandon and Alyssa from school. She'd smile at the other parents, chat about homework and soccer practice. She'd drive them home in the Lexus I bought her, make them snacks in the kitchen I renovated, help them with homework at the table where we'd eaten 1,000 family dinners. And she'd be counting the hours until she could run. Catherine's next message arrived at 3:15. Emily picked up the kids, heading home. She looks calm. Of course she did. Emily was always calm, even when she was lying, stealing, destroying everything we'd built. My phone rang. Langford. It's done, he said. Divorce petition filed. Temporary restraining order requested. You'll be served at your office tomorrow morning. I gave them the address of your business. She'll be served at home tomorrow afternoon. Thank you. Mr. Ashford? One more thing. When this breaks, it's going to get ugly. She's going to fight. Her attorney is going to make allegations, try to paint you as controlling or abusive. They'll look for anything to shift blame, so I need you to stay clean. No confrontations, no threats, nothing she can use against you. Understood. I drove home slowly, watching the familiar streets roll past. Our neighborhood looked exactly the same. The Johnson sprinklers running on their front lawn. The Williamson kid shooting hoops in his driveway. Everything normal. Everything ordinary. Emily's Lexus sat in our driveway when I pulled up. Through the front window, I could see her in the kitchen, helping Alyssa with something at the counter. I sat in my truck for a full minute, watching my wife pretend to be someone she wasn't. Then I went inside to do the same. The process server arrived at 2:34 p.m. the next day. I wasn't there. Langford had advised me to stay away, let it happen without witnesses. But Catherine was parked down the street, watching through a telephoto lens, sending me updates in real time. Server at the door. Emily answered. She's reading the papers. She just dropped them, picked them up, reading again. She's calling someone. Tyler, probably. Now she's calling another number, her attorney. I sat in my office downtown, staring at my phone, imagining Emily's face as she realized the game was over, that I knew everything, that she'd lost. Catherine called me an hour later. She's packing, she said without preamble. Not the suitcases from yesterday, everything. Clothes, documents, the kids' things. She's moving fast. The restraining order prevents her from taking the kids out of state or removing assets. Doesn't prevent her from leaving herself. Catherine's voice was tight. She's going to run, David. Tonight, probably. Let her. You don't understand. If she runs, she'll disappear. New name, new city, new identity. She's done it before. Before Patterson? Before everything. I've spent 6 years trying to figure out who Emily really is. Every trail goes cold. Patterson wasn't her first husband. He was at least her second, maybe her third. She's a ghost, David. She knows how to vanish. My hands tightened on the desk. What about Tyler? He's collateral damage. She'll leave him behind like she left James, like she's leaving you. He doesn't matter to her. Then why? Because she needs someone, always. Someone to validate her, fund her, provide cover while she sets up the next score. Tyler was convenient, young, naive, easy to manipulate, but he was never the end game. What is the end game? Catherine was quiet for a long moment. I don't think there is one. I think she just keeps moving, keeps destroying. It's who she is. At 6:47 p.m., Emily called me. I let it ring 4 times before answering. David. Her voice was steady, controlled. We need to talk. I don't think we do. Please, just come home. The kids are at your mother's. I thought we should discuss this privately. She'd already moved our children, sent them away so she could have this conversation without witnesses. There's nothing to discuss, Emily. You're making a mistake. Still calm, still measured. Whatever you think you know, I know everything. The apartment, Tyler, the credit card fraud, your real name, or whatever name you used before Patterson. I know about James. I know what you did to him. Silence. Then, who told you about James? Does it matter? Catherine. She said the name like a curse. She's been poisoning you against me. David, you have to understand. I understand perfectly. You're a con artist. You find successful men, marry them, bleed them dry, and disappear. You've done it at least twice. You were planning to do it to me. That's not... Her voice cracked, just slightly. The first genuine emotion I'd heard. I loved you. I love our children. You don't love anyone. You're not capable of it. You don't know what you're talking about. The calm was fracturing now, anger seeping through. I gave you 12 years. I gave you 2 children. I built a life with you. You built a lie. There's a difference. So what now? The anger was fully present, sharp and cold. You take everything? Destroy me? Leave me with nothing? Yes. I'll fight you. Melissa is already preparing. Melissa can't help you. Not this time. The evidence is airtight. The fraud is documented. Your affair is documented. Your history is documented. You're going to lose, Emily. Completely. Another long silence. When she spoke again, her voice had changed entirely. Flat. Empty. You really think you've won? I know I have. You haven't even started to understand what losing looks like. She hung up. Catherine called 30 seconds later. She's loading the Lexus. 2 suitcases, a laptop bag, and a box of documents. She's leaving right now. Follow her. Already on it. Emily drove to the Maple Grove apartment, stayed inside for 17 minutes, left alone without the suitcases. Then she drove to the library, parked in the employee lot, went inside. Tyler's shift ended at 8. He came out at 8:12, walked to his Honda, and drove away without noticing Emily's Lexus in the shadows. She followed him. Not to his real apartment. To a different location entirely. A hotel near the airport. She's meeting someone, Catherine said over the phone. Not Tyler, someone else. Who? I don't know yet. But David, she didn't go inside. She's just sitting in the parking lot watching the entrance. Watching for what? I think she's waiting to see if Tyler's meeting someone. I think she's checking whether he's loyal. The pieces clicked together. She's vetting her next move, deciding whether to take Tyler with her or leave him behind. That's my read. At 9:03 p.m., a woman emerged from the hotel. Mid-30s, professional clothes, pulling a small rolling suitcase. She got into a rental car and drove away. Tyler never came out. Emily waited another 20 minutes, then left. She's heading back toward your neighborhood, Catherine reported, but she's not going home. She's driving past it, circling. Looking for surveillance? Probably, or working up the nerve to do something stupid. At 9:47 p.m., Emily parked 3 blocks from our house and walked back on foot. Catherine followed at a distance, camera ready. Emily let herself in through the side gate, the one we never locked because it led to the backyard where the kids played. She went to the pool shed, emerged with a gas can we kept for the lawnmower. David, Catherine's voice was urgent. She's going to burn something. Call the police, now. I was already dialing. Emily walked to her Lexus, parked in our driveway. Poured gasoline over the hood, the roof, the interior, through the open driver's window. She lit it with a cigarette lighter. The flames caught instantly, a roar of orange and black against the night sky. Emily stood watching for maybe 10 seconds, her face illuminated by the fire, completely expressionless. Then she walked away. Catherine filmed everything. The arson. Emily's face. Her calm, methodical destruction of the vehicle I'd given her. Police arrived 6 minutes later. Fire department 3 minutes after that. By the time they extinguished the flames, the Lexus was a charred skeleton. Emily was gone. They found her 2 days later in Tucson, trying to board a bus to Mexico with a fake passport and $8,000 in cash. The passport identified her as Michelle Warren. The photo was Emily's face. The birth certificate attached was for a woman who died in Oklahoma in 1987. She'd been planning this for longer than anyone realized. The investigation that followed peeled back layers of identity like rotting wallpaper. Emily Patterson had been Michelle Warren, who'd been Rachel Simmons, who'd been Jennifer Cole. 4 names, 4 husbands, spanning 16 years. Each marriage lasting 3 to 5 years. Each divorce leaving the husband financially devastated. James Patterson had been husband number 3, not number 1. The first husband, Michael Cole, had lost his restaurant business and filed for bankruptcy. The second, David Simmons, had lost his medical practice and moved to Alaska to start over. James had lost everything and his life. I was supposed to be number 4. The criminal trial took 8 months. Emily, the court refused to use any of her aliases, settling on her legal name from the Patterson marriage, was charged with identity theft, credit card fraud, arson, and attempted flight to avoid prosecution. The evidence was overwhelming. Catherine's documentation, my attorney's forensic accounting, the police investigation, it all painted the same picture. A predator who'd spent nearly 2 decades destroying men for profit. She was convicted on all counts, sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks later. I got full custody of Brandon and Alyssa. The house, my business, untouched. Every asset she'd tried to hide was recovered and returned. Emily got nothing. Melissa Brennan was disbarred 6 months later for her role in helping Emily hide assets across multiple divorces. She's appealing, but the evidence against her is as solid as the evidence against her client. Tyler Grant resigned from the library and moved back to Portland. I almost felt sorry for him. He'd been a pawn, used and discarded. But he'd also been willing to sleep with a married woman, so my sympathy had limits. Catherine and I met in person exactly once after the trial concluded. She was younger than I'd expected, maybe 40, with tired eyes that had seen too much. "Thank you," I said, "for everything." She shook her head. "I didn't do it for you. I did it for James." "Either way." "Your kids," she said. "How are they handling it?" Brandon and Alyssa had been devastated when they learned the truth. Their mother wasn't who they thought she was. Their family wasn't real. I'd gotten them into therapy immediately, and slowly, painfully, they were healing. "They're resilient," I said. "They'll be okay." "Will you?" I thought about that. About the 12 years I'd lost to a lie. About the woman I'd loved who'd never existed. About the betrayal that had carved through my life like a blade. "I will be," I said. "Eventually." Catherine nodded. James never got there. He couldn't accept that he'd been fooled. That's what killed him, not the divorce. The shame of it. "I'm not ashamed. I'm angry. There's a difference." "Good. Stay angry. It's better than the alternative." She left after that. I never saw her again, though she sent a card when the divorce was finalized. Just 2 words. Justice served. 2 years have passed since that afternoon at Home Depot, when my phone buzzed with a photograph that destroyed my world. Brandon is 12 now, excelling in soccer and math. Alyssa is 9, learning piano and reading everything she can get her hands on. They ask about their mother sometimes, but less frequently as time passes. I tell them the truth, age-appropriate versions of it. That their mother made bad choices, that she hurt people, that she's paying the consequences. I don't tell them that their mother was a phantom, a collection of lies held together by manipulation and greed. They'll learn that eventually when they're old enough to process it. I sold the house on Maple Ridge Court. Too many ghosts. We live in a different neighborhood now, a fresh start. Smaller house, but it's ours, mine and the kids, built on truth instead of deception. I date occasionally, carefully, with my eyes open in ways they never were before. I don't trust easily anymore, and maybe I never will again. But I'm not broken. Just cautious. Last month, I received a letter from Emily. She's not allowed direct contact, but her prison counselor forwarded it with my permission. The letter was 3 pages of justification and blame. How I'd never understood her. How society punishes women for wanting more. How she'd been a victim of circumstance, of bad luck, of men who'd failed to appreciate her. Not one word of remorse. Not one acknowledgement of the destruction she'd caused. I burned it in the fireplace while Brandon and Alyssa were at school. Watched the paper curl and blacken and turn to ash. Felt nothing. That's how I knew I was healing. The lesson in all of this, if there is one, isn't about trust or betrayal or the danger of beautiful liars. Those are obvious. The real lesson is simpler. Some people are fundamentally broken in ways that can't be fixed or understood. They move through the world taking what they want, destroying what they touch, leaving wreckage in their wake. You can't save them. You can't change them. You can only protect yourself and the people you love. Emily is where she belongs. My children are safe. My life is my own again. That's not revenge. That's not even justice, really. It's just the truth, finally, after 12 years of lies. And the truth, I've learned, is the only foundation worth building on. Everything else is just smoke and mirrors, waiting to burn.